Welcome to a new podcast where we're breaking through and breaking it down with a new girl. Your host, Dawn Piercy. Welcome to Mariano Big Dog's Corner here exclusively on a new podcast. I am Dawn Piercy. I am your host. Mariano could not be with us today due to training, but we have brought you Meosha Bean. She is an award-winning actress. She is the CEO and founder of M.V.P Films and Productions. She's a writer, director, cinematographer. Okay, say it, Meosha. I'm getting tongue-tied. What can I say? Cinematographer. There you go. Okay, we got it. Okay, but in 2017, she won special mention at the Global Shorts in Los Angeles for the film The Sixth Floor, which is a horror film. It's a short. And Meosha, welcome to Big Dog's Corner here on a new podcast. How are you this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, from the research I've done, you started acting at the age of 7 years old and getting into filming. Now, I've got to ask, growing up in the industry, did it fuel your passion for what you're doing today?
Yeah, I would say so. For sure. I was growing up, my brother was in TV films production. So I saw him bring home this camera and I was like, oh my God, I fell in love. And I took the camera and I made him my own. So he never really saw the camera. And I literally fell in love with it since then. I was 7 years old and yeah.
Very nice. Now,
all started.
Anytime did you ever see yourself going in a different direction, going where you are and then coming back, or was it just entertainment industry all the way growing up for you?
Honestly, I've never saw myself doing anything else besides film. I mean, literally, it was like love at first sight when I was introduced to it. I was like, oh, my life has changed, and I just fell in love with, you can tell stories and being in front of the camera, and I was alone. I was the baby of the family of four, so that was like literally my way to escape, and it was just like I never saw myself doing anything else. I was pretty sure. I remember I had a talk with my parents, and they were like, I was like 13. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a filmmaker. And they were like, okay, Meosha. Yeah, whatever. But they saw that I never detoured. I never went anywhere else. I was pretty adamant. I was like, I knew for sure. And that's really hard, I think, for a lot of people to figure out what their path is. I'm very blessed to have found that I love it.
Very nice. Now, I want to talk about The Sixth Floor, the short film that you won an award on. Can you tell us about that and where we can see it?
Yeah, actually, I believe it's on YouTube now.
Okay.
It wasn't on YouTube, but the short is actually with a good friend of mine, Tyler. We were actually talking about putting out some shorts and like some nice anthologies and putting them out on YouTube. And she was like, why not? So literally we just brainstormed one day. We were in the house thinking like, what could we make that almost like sci-fi thriller-ish. I was very psychological, like it's like a mind trip, we came up with she lives in this huge apartment building where there's, when you walk in, you're like, you get lost. And so immediately when I was thinking, I was like, ooh, lost in translation. That hit me. I was like, ooh, what if you're lost trying to get home? And it's just like this like trippy, your mind plays tricks on you. Like, I think we all have had those times where we go somewhere, we're like,
I've
wait a
had
minute, have I been
dreams
here?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's those are the type
that's
of
where,
dreams where, you've got those hotels and you're
yeah,
running down the street and you can't get home no matter which way you go. And it's like, how do I get here? So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Now, you recently did another short film with my co
Ooh.
host, Mariano Mendoza. Prison Muscles. If you have not seen Prison Muscles, you absolutely have to check it out. It's
Oh man.
hilarious. And uh, yeah, you've got to check it out. Absolutely. Now, I've got to ask, is there, I know
Yeah.
you just finished up a film today. You sent it to me and I got to check it out. Is there
Eh,
anything that you're working on, and I'm going to share it too, that we don't know about that you can fill us in on?
Ooh, that you don't know about. Well, there's 4 features that I just talked to my manager about, and
Mm-hmm.
we're excited to do that. Some along the lines of like a horror theme.
Right.
So really stoked about getting into that. That's really my first love, which is scary movies. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Some features coming soon, so that's really exciting for sure. So that's something I can't tell you like the name of who's in it, but it's gonna be some pretty cool
Well,
stuff.
we're all going to have to follow you and find out so we can know when it comes up. Now, in 2016, you had a
Uh,
TV miniseries, Women Talk with Meosha. Can you tell us
yeah.
about that? What was the focus on it? For anyone wanting to check it out, where can we find that? Is that on YouTube as well?
That's actually we have there's 3 platforms right now for it. It's
Okay.
on YouTube, Facebook, our Facebook channel. It's on our Facebook page. It's also on I think it's Opportune TV, a platform
Mm-hmm.
based in gosh, I think it's based in Wyoming or something like that. It's here in the U.S. Another platform where kind of like Amazon, but much cheaper and more affordable for people to like, become a member.
Right.
Um, yeah, so it's on those 3 platforms. And Women's Talk really was um, how that came about was my producing friend slash brother Kente. We both were talking. He said that you know a lot of women who are in the industry, and I was like, you know what, I actually do, and I didn't really think about it. And I was like, this. And he's like, you should do something with that, and I was like, interview them, and he's like, yeah. So that's kind of how the idea of bringing a safe space,
Right.
myself and these women, and we're talking about them and celebrating them and sharing their stories and how they did it, whether it's in film, TV, acting,
Mm-hmm.
modeling. I think it's a great platform to meet the new talents out there or people who've been doing it for a while. So it's
Right.
very inspiring, and I think it's pretty much why I do it, because I learned so much, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it's a good way to help lift each other up too, and um, get ideas off of each other too. Now,
Oh yeah.
aside from writing, filmmaking, acting, all that you do, do you watch movies yourself? I know that you said you're a big horror fan.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of movies?
Ooh, I love psychological films that are like The Butterfly Effect, A Beautiful Mind,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. Yeah, things that make me think, and that I just went to go see Red Sparrow with
Okay.
Jennifer Lawrence, and oh my God, it is so good. I was so inspired. I've seen it 3 times.
Oh wow, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Oh yeah, it's one of those where it's like that psychological
Mm-hmm.
thriller, and she's fantastic in it. The cast and crew amazing, and that those are kind of like that inspires me to want to write. And when I see things like that, the girl with the dragon tattoo, those kind of things,
Right.
um, very gritty thriller, psychological, makes you think, you know. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Keeps you on your toes. And in all that you do, I'd really like to know what is your absolute favorite part of putting everything together and the process of actually bringing your words into a reality.
I love that. My favorite, the process. Oh gosh, I love it all. Really. I mean, it definitely takes a team, to bring something together. I'm not much of a writer, but I have
Mm-hmm.
ideas.
Right.
So what I usually do is go out to a lot of my writer friends and I'm like, what do you think about this? And can you help me expand on this idea? And maybe write, help me write it or come up with some concepts of. I'm definitely not a writer. I have a lot of ideas. My mind can like run crazy. I'm like, yeah, and this, and they're like, Meosha, come back to Earth. I'm like, right. But I think my favorite process, the part of the process is really just I love the storyboard. I draw it out and I like
Mm-hmm.
to visually see what I can, how the film is gonna look like or the short's gonna be. And
Right.
it's kind of like a map for me. So when I get on set, I can kind of like go back and have a reference to look at and so it's definitely storyboard and then gosh, I don't like editing per se, but I like
Right.
watch I like to watch watching it, watching the editor edit. But somehow I fall into that category
Yeah, yeah. It- I, Another question I want to ask
yeah.
is, what do you feel that films these days may be missing that they're
Mm.
not bringing to the table in the storylines, and what would you change to make it better?
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh man, I gotta think about that one. I think, gosh, I think we just want to see some real stories. I think people want to see themselves relatable. Like I like look at a film and say, you know what, I can see myself in that situation.
Right.
And I think we're getting to the point where we're making things more diverse
Mm-hmm.
and I think it takes one step at a time. But I think we're going in that direction, and I think more women are coming out and telling their stories. So I'm really liking this shift right now with the women empowerment and in front and being very powerful and strong because we're not just the wife, we're not just in the kitchen, we're not just those stereotypical
Right.
roles that we see. The wife who's home and with the kids. So I like these different stories of like strong women and Wonder Woman and gosh, I mean, uh, so many cool stuff like Red Sparrow for another.
Right.
So it's definitely. I think for me, what I would do is definitely try to tell stories that people can relate to, that
Mm-hmm.
people knows as like, and not some Hollywood stereotype of
Right.
what's. I think I stay clear away from that. Um, and just be real. I think if you're real and it comes from a good place and gets space in
Mm-hmm.
yourself, people will also feel that too.
It, you know
Yeah,
what? It's the one of the reasons I asked that is because I wanted to get your perspective on it, because you're right. When you bring something that's inspirational to the table,
yeah, yeah,
that's empowering not to people as a whole, but even individually to where they can
yeah,
relate on a one-on-one basis, you're bringing
yeah.
realism into the world and you can make anything out of it into the storyline. And
Yes,
I just
definitely.
wanted, I just wanted to get another take on it because I was like, that
Yeah.
has to be something I absolutely have to ask her. So
Thank you for asking me. I don't think I've ever had that question, so that's awesome.
now, for anybody that wants to follow you, keep up with what you got going on, keep up with the projects that you've got coming out, where can they follow you at, and all that jazz?
All that jazz. I'm Meosha Bean. That's Meosha. Bean, like with bean and rice. Bean. for Google and Facebook will come up, Instagram, everything is literally that. Even YouTube, Meosha
Okay.
Bean, one on the end. So I kind of try to keep it consistent because my agent's like, keep it consistent.
Right.
So it's find you.
Be sure to follow Meosha and keep up with everything she's got going on. She's great at what she does, and you've got to check out Prison Muscles. It's hilarious, and there's no reason not to check it out. Meosha, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to be on Mariano Big Dog's Corner here on a new podcast, and thank you so much for being a new guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This has been a new podcast.